Patrick, the last few weeks have been massive for Rangers. You must be thrilled that it's now been announced and confirmed that Russell Martin is the club's new head coach.
Thanks, Neil. Yeah, it's been certainly an intense few weeks and really good to get it over the line. In fact, only at 1 o'clock last night was it finally done. So great to be here today to introduce Russell to the media and then also to supporters as well.
What made Russell the standout candidate?
Look, we conducted a really rigorous process, and I've been using that word a lot today, process, but it's true here. The head coach for Rangers or any club is such a pivotal appointment in that they can take a group of individuals and turn them into a winning team or not. So it's the most important hire that I think the club makes. And he came through different stages of the process, always as a standout. We've been very thorough in terms of understanding the style of play and ensuring that's compatible with the style of football that the club wants to play. We need a head coach that is right for the club. Similarly, he shows great leadership. He's a culture architect, so he's somebody that we think will come in and really drive standards at Auchenhowie. And he's also somebody that we believe is going to help develop players. And again, Russell talked about players as assets for the club, and that's something that we really do need to trade on quite literally for the club to kind of elevate itself financially. So there's a lot in there, but ultimately I go back to he stood out in every stage of the process. We're really delighted that he agreed to join us.
What have your own conversations with Russell been like in the build-up to today's unveiling?
So I've had several discussions with Russell. Some of them have been formal in terms of an interview process. Others have been more informal, and we've had a bit of time to spend together today. He's a very sort of grounded, low ego guy, but with lots of drive and ambition, and he's a really clear communicator, which I think our playing squad, all the staff at Auchenhowie and our supporters are really going to take to. Who
ultimately has the final say on the appointment of the new head coach coming in, or is it a collective decision?
It's a decision taken by the board. So obviously we've got a newly constituted board that Andrew and Parag are leading in their roles as chair and vice chair. But this is a decision that ultimately gets taken by the board. But look, Kevin's been doing a lot of the heavy lifting with some support from myself as well, and also from 49ers Enterprises. So, but it's a board-led decision.
How important is it the fact that the club's new head coach has played for Rangers, so it's not an entirely new environment he's coming into?
I think that's definitely an advantage. It wasn't, to be clear, it wasn't a requirement, but it's definitely an advantage. I mean, I think anyone that has lived in Glasgow, experienced Rangers, it is unique. There's no preparing people for it, and so it's definitely an advantage. And but as I say, not a requirement, but a nice to have.
Yeah. Russell, of course, will know all about the demands and the expectations at the club. He's also vastly experienced from his years as a player and manager in England. Add to that his 29 caps for Scotland, of course. Do you see that as a real positive that Rangers have a head coach who knows about the football down south and a knowledge of British football in general?
100%, definitely. I think having that understanding of the Scottish game, I would say, is a key factor, because every league is unique, and then we look at some of the fixtures that have to be played as part of the SPFL. Every ground's got its nuances, every club's got its nuances, so somebody that comes in with an understanding of that is a huge asset. Equally, when it comes to, in particular, recruiting players, having a knowledge of markets outside of Scotland and players outside of Scotland, and also off the pitch talent outside of Scotland as well is a huge advantage. So yeah, I think we're really fortunate to have somebody that has that Scottish background and also English experience as well.
The question a lot of supporters might have is how quickly a new head coach can come in at Rangers and make the changes he feels are required to the first team squad. How big a challenge will that be given the timescales?
It's all, there's a lot of hard work to be done, just to be clear. I think there is always every pre-season for Rangers because the European qualifiers come so early. So, let's not shy away from that. There's a lot of hard work to be done. That said, we've got Russell in, the transfer window doesn't open for another 10 days, and the first team don't return for another 2 weeks. So actually, you could look at it glass half full and say we've got him in well in advance of those two key events. But look, let's not kid ourselves. There's a lot of hard work to be done, but I know he's determined to get stuck into that.
If I can ask you about the announcement of Kevin Thelwell as sporting director and Dan Purdy as technical director, how pleased are you to have both of them on board?
Look, so similar to the head coach process, we were really thorough when we were going through a process for hiring a sporting director. And again, just like Russell, I'm really pleased we got Kevin, who was absolute standout candidate. We've got somebody that has experience in the Premier League twice with 2 different clubs, also experience in New York with New York Red Bulls, and a really deep understanding of professional football and lived experience as well. And so he comes to us with all of this experience. He's really excited about the challenge and the opportunity of working in Glasgow. So yeah, I feel, again, as with Russell, I feel really fortunate that we've got such a top quality candidate, and I think it really does augur really well for the future of the club.
Coming from Everton previously, of course, you must feel Kevin and Dan's knowledge and contacts in the game will be hugely beneficial for Rangers, not only in terms of recruitment, but in all aspects football related.
He comes in with a real focus on recruitment, which will, of course, allow Kevin to look, take a step back and look more widely over the whole football operations, which is his role. So Dan, again, has operated within top levels of professional football for a considerable period of time, comes with a great network, great contacts book, and also great working practices, which again will only benefit the club more widely.
How important will it be for Rangers, that team of Russell Martin, Kevin Thelwell and Dan Purdy, as the club moves forward with what we all hope will be real positive momentum?
Really critical, but it's not just Russell, Kevin and Dan. There's people already in the building, and they're going to also be really important to the journey that we're going on. But of course, having Russell and Kevin in to lead that is, I think, really important, and we want strong leaders in every role within the club, whether football, commercial, operational. So that's really, I think, important to the club, making sure that we move to the next level and start winning again.
We haven't spoken to you properly since the takeover of Andrew Kavanagh and 49ers Enterprises. Still early days, but what kind of impact has this had on Rangers behind the scenes and for you personally as CEO?
Look, I think Andrew and Parag have provided real engagement, focus, energy, and it's been a really positive impact. We've been, while the ownership may have only changed a week ago, we've been in discussions for a long time, and they've been really supportive in helping us make good decisions en route. So I can't be more positive about it so far, and I'm sure that will continue.
Do you feel that the new investors and the changes we have seen at board level will help to take the club forward on a new and exciting path?
Definitely. It's great having a board that's invigorated. They've made a financial commitment, as you've seen, and they're really wanting to work collaboratively with existing management, and all make sure we pull in together in the right direction. And culture for them is really important. And you heard Russell speak about culture. And in any organisation, culture is important. But within a football club, it's got elevated status. And getting the culture correct around the club is so important. And that requires alignment from ownership throughout the organisation. And we're all really focused on ensuring we've got good alignment and great communication. So I think that we made a good start. So that does suggest lots of positivity to come.
With the pieces of the jigsaw now falling into place on and off the pitch, as CEO, you must be looking forward to the weeks and months ahead with real excitement and optimism.
I've been excited and optimistic since I joined. The potential of Rangers, we know it's unfulfilled at the moment. It's a huge club, and supporters, players, management staff, we've all been frustrated at not having achieved the heights. So it feels now, though, that we are making steps forward, and new ownership is a massive step forward. So my excitement and optimism levels, yeah, have definitely increased, but they were always there because there's so much that's positive about this club.